I'm sorry, IONIQ 5N owners out there, you guys didn't get this just yet, which was not really the case with the IONIQ 5N. Missing triangle in the middle, and there was something that I've been meaning to check out, and that is this guy right here. Welcome to CarSceneKorea. I introduce newly released Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia cars. There's only one occasion where I come check out a mall, and that is, of course, the IONIQ 6 regular, N-line, and most importantly, the IONIQ 6N. There were some new techs and features that I missed out on my first video and review because I ran out of time. That is the regular IONIQ 6 right there, and line the IONIQ 6N, and that is the Performance Blue Pearl, introduced for the first time ever on the IONIQ 6N. It is different color from the Performance Blue as well as Performance Blue Matte that we have seen on other previous Ns. If you want to find out all about these two cars and even the 6N, there are videos on my channel already. Please check it out. That is the Performance Blue Pearl from the sky view, bird eye view like so. On the wall are some N performance related or N merchandise I will show you up close. I'm really trying hard to get that on my CarSceneKorea shop as well, so you can get it where you are overseas. So fingers crossed and stay tuned for that. If you haven't checked out my first video and review, please do so before watching today's video, because there definitely are design aspects that I've covered in that video inside out. But let me just quickly give you a brief bullet point review of the car, because I know that some of you guys are watching this video for the first time. So the car, IONIQ 6N, is actually 30 millimeters wider on both, making it 60 millimeters wider on both left and right. Of course, it is wide-bodied than the regular model. If you have cars side by side, everybody will be able to tell, especially with the wing though. That wing says out loud that I am a performance car. The car also has shorter front overhang and longer rear overhang, making it 15 millimeters longer wheelbase compared to the regular model, which makes it 2,965 millimeters total. And there are 3 NAS Plus, which stands for N Active Sound Plus, that are quite different from the IONIQ 5N, because IONIQ 5N had 3 sounds named to be ignition, evolution, and supersonic. But come this IONIQ 6N, there is no more supersonic. However, there now is light speed.
Lets you fully immerse yourself in the drive. The upgraded sound system transforms your mood from everyday driving to an explosive roar of a high-performance emotion whenever you desire.
And also, even for the ignition, the sound has been redefined to adequately fit and suit IONIQ 6N. That is different from the IONIQ 5N. People who have heard it in person say that it really sounds more natural and sounds more like the ICE cars that we are used to, especially that pops and bangs, the crackle noise. The noise, unfortunately, is only available inside the cabin. You don't really hear it much on the outside just yet due to regulations. But who knows, Hyundai N is only getting started with their crazy dreams, and they're making those into reality as we see right before us. And also, most importantly, the car is of course an EV, fully electric high performance vehicle. The AER, the driving range of the vehicle, does matter, and the number is 385 kilometers based on the Korean government measurement, which is known to be much more harsh than the WLTP standards. You have my word, the numbers will exceed over 400 kilometers based on WLTP measurements. The car weighs 2,170 kilograms, which is 30 kilograms lighter than IONIQ 5N, having all of the same PE power electric units, batteries, motors, you name it, despite the fact that the i6N comes with the wide body, which definitely shows and proves the 3 major living pillars of the N brand, which is everyday sports car, corner rascal, and race car capability, which this IONIQ 6N, of course, all has. Just so you know, it's not the same chassis or platform, or I should say EGMP, Electric Global Modular Platform, from the IONIQ 5N. For the first time ever, Hyundai actually came up with a chassis made from EGMP, but exclusively for the i6N, providing that over fender as well as longer width compared to the IONIQ 5N. So it's not just the wheel spacers nor wheels that Hyundai played with in order to make it look aesthetically wide-bodied, but the car is actually wide-bodied from get-go, from the chassis, from EGMP alone. Big props and huge shout out. I mean, if you know, you know, but that costs a lot of money. So let's head downstairs and let me tell you more about the nitty-gritty things about the IONIQ 6N that I missed out on my first video, which my channel is all about. If it's your first time checking out my video and channel and you are complaining for such a long intro, well, welcome to the channel. Let's go check out the car and let me show you the car up close. You see, the mall closes at 9 p.m. It's 8:10, but there still are so many people checking out the car, and it's weekdays as well. Can't afford to miss this opportunity. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Super thin. I don't know if there's any tech geeks out there. I am one of them for sure. So this is the 6N video. Look at that. So this is the video that I've been referring to. All right, so let's get to work one more time. This is the IONIQ 6N line, and this is the regular IONIQ 6. So there actually is the difference with the bumper, the rear front, and especially the rear bumper design, because the 6N line actually has the gloss finish in the middle with a lot of gigantic black portion in the middle, right? So this is the regular IONIQ 6. The profile isn't much different from the pre-facelift, having the pebble shape, the streamliner design. The rear is what's different with the redesigned bumper, but still has the good old IONIQ 6 taillight design on the back, the rear. But check out the 6N line. The front resembles quite a lot of the IONIQ 6N, especially the winglet design, but it's really different with the back of the design. Like so. As you can see, the rear bumper is completely different, as well as the taillights, the 4 dots, and the IONIQ 6 written on the back. And a lot of people did scold about this car being the piano black, but the car's been sitting here for the past week. As you see, people have been checking it all out. And check out the condition of the bumper. You see, I don't see any gigantic, crazy scratches, scrapes. I would say it's very durable. I have the lights on too, so see for yourself if there is any scratches and damages to the car. I think it's immaculate. It's not the same piano black that you've been seeing here and there. They're always upgrading the materials, the durability, the performance of parts, pieces like these. So you have my word. I mean, just see for yourself. Once again, hundreds, thousands of people have been checking this car out. They've been touching them, and no scratches, no swirls, nothing. And as you can see, they're just buffing off with a towel, right? But still, the car is holding up just fine. So enough of that, let's go to IONIQ 6N. Let's go. Once again, there are a lot of videos on the car, so please check it out on my channel. So same rear bumper design that I've been telling you about. So if this bothers you, I would definitely do PPF, the rear, at least the piano black portion, then you're good to go. You don't need to worry a thing about it. And there was something that I've been meaning to check out because I missed out on my first review, and that is this guy right here. That's where you mount your action cam accessories, and they are still puzzled as to what accessories to come up with and finalize. However, we will be able to attach our action cams, GoPro, DJI, Insta360, you name it. And it is the metal plate which is attached to the body of the car, so it's really sturdy and firm. Right now, there is not a specific plate that I can think of that we would be able to attach the action cams right onto this thing just yet. That is something Hyundai is looking into. Don't know how I missed that. Probably that's how subtle and discreet it is. It does not alter the design of the car whatsoever. And this will also be available even if you get the sunroof. It will be pushed back a little because there needs to be the room for the sunroof, of course, right? But it will be available for all cars. Doesn't matter if you have the sunroof or not. FYI, sunroof might not be available to your market, so double check with your local dealership. So C-type charging ports, pushing out all the way up to 100 watts. That is also a technology at its finest. That is enough of power that can charge your laptops inside the car, and that's also possible on the front row as well. One on the right, one on the left is for the USB data to and from your cell phones and whatnot. And people did point out missing triangle in the middle. I hear you, I feel you. It's a bit of a bummer. There should have been the triangle because it was uniquely N. It would have been nice if there had been at least a fog lamp, triangular fog lamp at the bottom. But I am 100% certain the Hyundai N team had thought about it, and that is the design that they decided to come up with. It is somewhat triangular, wouldn't you say? So in order to meet the regulations around the globe, that probably is the best design that they could have come up with. And this is the latest addition to the N collection, of course, because it dropped with the IONIQ 6N reveal. So that is the blueprint of the car. Rear wing, fender 30 millimeters. Multiply that by 275, 35, 20. Yes, the wheels and tires are now 20 inches, by the way. It's not 21, unlike the IONIQ 5N. It is from Pirelli P05, 1,676 millimeters. I actually got to take a photo of this. It's got all the details everywhere. So pause the video and feel free to find out everything there is to this IONIQ 6N. These you can find on the website. Scan the QR codes. I believe they do global shipping, but the shipping cost might be crazy. So this is what I am trying to bring over to my shop. The RN22E concept, which gave birth to this very car right there, IONIQ 6N. And this is the N-Vision 74. There still are a lot of rumors and speculations as to this car being produced or not, but fingers crossed. Rear bird eye view of the IONIQ 6N. Did you get that? That's the wing, and that's the back of the car. So you see, that meant to be the triangle. And gear shift knob, umbrella, the tumbler as well. So let me go over the numbers, facts, text, and features of the IONIQ 6N that I missed out on the first video. Number 1, PE, power electrification. The car pushes out 770 Newton meters. That allows the car to reach 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.2 seconds with launch control. As all N cars have been, that number will be faster in real world when you have the perfect conditions, when you have the ideal conditions, the tires are warmed up, or if you have better, higher grip performance summer tires. I think there's a good chance I can drop this number down to 2-second figure. We might very well see the first 2-second car. I'll try my best, see if I can reach that when I get behind the steering wheel. All this upgrades we've been getting, we are seeing on the IONIQ 6N is achieved thanks to the dual inverter that allows 70% increased output compared to the IONIQ 5N. It is electronically controlled, therefore it's much faster than any mechanical devices out there, of course. And they also managed to lower the N battery conditioning by 14 minutes. And there's also mechatronic control system, and I will tell you more about this when I actually do test drive the car with the introduction of the N light speed. There's also N ambient shift light, which the car uses the ambient lights to tell you when to shift up when the conditions are met. All of these things that I am not able to show you right now, I will find out on my test drive. There's also the N drift optimizer. Yes, there has been one in IONIQ 5N, but you can fine tune and control 3 different segments within the N drift optimizer. And first is the initiation, second is the angle, and third is the wheel spin. It is all self-explanatory. The name tells everything about it. Initiation controls the car by utilizing the Regen brakes force and amount, and it feels similar to what you get and feel by letting the throttle on and off. It is quite like the e-brakes that we're used to if you've been drifting your cars before. And second is the angle, and that controls how much the car will let the body angle to slip. So you can actually have the different angles of the car slip in the body, 10 different levels that you can engage and disengage how much aid you will get from the car. It also feels very similar to the rear-wheel drive internal combustion engine. When you spin out, it feels like the car is connected with the drive shaft. It is the official statement from the Hyundai N team. And lastly, controlling the different wheel spin. It's self-explanatory. It literally controls the amount of wheel spin allowed on the car. So the front motor does get used to control the angle and the wheel spin, but it's very marginal. And when you have selected certain angle, the car will keep its spin amount regardless of the grip by the ground. The car is going to make you feel like you are the best driver and you are in full control of the vehicle. But I felt it with the IONIQ 5N already, and I'm watching the numerous reviewers saying about how the car performs and handles. But once you turn off all the VDC, that is when the car will let you know, slap in your face, saying that you should learn how to drive the car properly, because the tech is that good and that perfect. This is the insane part. You can use NE shift, which is the virtual gear shift of the IONIQ 5N as well as the IONIQ 6N as you drift. So that's the whole takeaway with the IONIQ 6N here. You can use two N unique features at the same time, which was not really the case with the IONIQ 5N. If you turned one on, you had to let go of the other feature, such as if you had the N drift optimizer on the IONIQ 5N, the NE shift would not work. However, that's not the case with the i6N. And I'll find all these out myself as soon as possible. And I'm getting crazy cramps, so I'm sorry, this is the best compromise I could make. Otherwise, I was gonna lose my leg. So all the NAS Plus and Active Sound Plus, as well as N Ambient Shift Light and N Drift Optimizer and E Shift and Track Manager, we can use up to two all at the same time. So one more addition to the N specific feature, and uniquely IONIQ 6N. I'm sorry, IONIQ 5N owners out there, you guys didn't get this just yet. It is for IONIQ 6N only at the moment. That is the N Track Manager.
그래서 제 차는 지금 변경된 게 껴져 있어요. 그래서 테스트를 하고 있고 계속 피드백을 드리고 있거든요. 네, 그래서
일단 제가 상무님 차는 계속 업데이트를 해드리고 있고, 그래서 조금 정말 이게 가능하다고 하면 고객분들께도 가능하게 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 맞아요. 왜냐면은 우리가 할 수 있는 게 있고 할 수 없는 게 있는데, 할 수 없는 것도 풀면 할 수 있는 게 되거든요. 항상 N은 그래요.
And you can create your own track, let alone the tracks around the world. You can actually come up with your own track. Yes, that means you can actually come up with a whole track course of mountainous roads, spirited runs that we've been doing, the toge runs. You can actually make a trek out of that, and you can also share that with your friend. The fun does not stop there. You can also come up with a ghost car in order to compete against yourself. And of course, I'm not talking about the public roads and streets. No, it's dangerous. You never do that. Only do that on the public, private area and closed areas where all the safety conditions are met. Of course, no one is going to be responsible for anything that happens, right? So all these notes I had, of course, I didn't have the time when I first met IONIQ 6N, so I'm here finally. And it's also great seeing the car again. Trust me, it looks much better in person than it is. The videos, photos don't do justice. The color too, it's an N, inside out, bottom up. As for the drive, I didn't get to test drive the car yet myself, but I went over numerous Korean channels, people who have been inside the prototype IONIQ 6Ns. Everybody said that it is much more soft than the IONIQ 5, and it is also supported by the Hyundai N team as well. They wanted the IONIQ 6N to have different approach than the IONIQ 5N did. Therefore, people have more choices between the performance EVs. But however, don't get me wrong, car being soft, it doesn't mean that it feels less like a track car. Thanks to ECS, electronically controlled suspension, we can always stiffen up the suspension going into the N mode. And when you have the full N mode on, the car should perform better on tracks than the IONIQ 5N. Nobody said this officially, but putting together all the statements and the numbers, data that I have been collecting, it's a sedan form, it is faster on straight lines, it's got the bigger wings on the rear. The answer is pretty simple. I don't want to yelp about what others have said, but Of course, I do want to deliver you and share with you what many people have said about the car. The researchers behind the i6N tried really hard to set the balance between the front and rear to make it flat, meaning it has the equal balance front and rear. Nothing feels more stronger on neither front nor rear. So the car tends to have slow understeer and slow oversteer. The car is more predictable than the IONIQ 5N. So the comparison I am making here is all against IONIQ 5N, just so you know. And the car also uses the Regen brake up to 0.6 G. That is the Regen brake alone, without the foot brake. And with the ABS engaged, the Regen brake can use up to 0.35 G. And in sport mode, when you floor the car, the extra 10 seconds timer countdown will show up and engage NGB and Grin boost on its own automatically. Because back in IONIQ 5N, you always had to manually press the NGB button to get to use that full 650 horsepower. But that's not the case with IONIQ 6N no more. And it's also same with the NE shift. The NGB will also pop up for the 10 seconds. As far as the N mode is concerned, it's not too stiff, but it does much better job of canceling out the pavements compared to the IONIQ 5N's N mode. It's definitely softer than the i5N, people say. Steering wheel feedback is not too sudden. You can still manage to control the vehicle as you drive on the corner, so there is more room for you to play, even if when you are in the middle of your cornering. So overall drive, it's very easy to let the rear slip. If you know how to let your rear slip on any cars, be it front wheel drive or rear wheel drive or all wheel drive even better, you can easily do so with this car, allowing you to slip the rear more predictably and safely. So all in all, it feels very similar to an authentic rear wheel drive car. It is a same EGMP, but feels very different compared to the IONIQ 5N. Hate to break it to you, but that's what professional drivers and other people who have checked out the car have said. Just going over my list because I want to tell you everything and make sure I didn't miss a thing. You can also change the grip level from low, mid, and high. And when you have set at high, it will use the boost, NGB, and Grin boost automatically. Because you see, now the car knows what you want to do when you go into certain modes. And when you have the NE shift, for the launch control, pre-torque is applied on the motors. That way, it is faster than before. However, there is no difference of the record between the VGS or NE shift, which was not the case with the i5N. When you had the NE shift on, it was always slower on the straight lines or corners on tracks. However, that's not the case with the IONIQ 6N no more. And you get nearly 0.9 G when you are in launch control. The fuel cut is now stronger than before, and it needs to control the speed, hence it has lower torque when you have the fuel cut engaging. And as for the end torque distribution, you can now have 100% power to the rear, allowing you to have that crazy wheel spin and as much wheel spin as you would like and wish. It was originally up to 70%. The IONIQ 5N did not allow the car to have full rear wheel spin. I mean, it did, but you did not get 100% of the power like the IONIQ 6N. The car will now also shift up and down, even when you have the HDA2 Highway Driving Assist 2 on. And as the mall is about to close and I'm gonna get kicked out, if I get kicked out here, I gotta walk around the mall. So let me actually head back to my car and tell you about the rest. I'm back here, guys. If I get kicked out, I'm gonna get kicked out. Just gotta wrap off the video, right? IONIQ 6N actually has lower roll center than IONIQ 5N by 100 millimeters. That is going to play a huge role when it comes to the drive. I know that will make it feel like a completely different car to that of the IONIQ 5N. Because I gotta feel it myself and tell you about it. And lastly, I did go over this in the first video, but there are 3 speakers on the front for the engine, 3 on the rear for the exhaust, and 2 on the outside, 1 on the front, 1 on the rear for the exhaust. No, it is to mimic the engine on the front and the exhaust on the rear. All right, that really is it for today. Meeting IONIQ 6N in person once again. Hopefully the next video I come up with is about the test drive. And as you can see from the parking lots, I am one of the last to get out of this mall. I love my job, guys, because if it wasn't for this, who would come to a mall with an hour left to closure, right? Going over and meeting the car, IONIQ 6N in person, your number one source of KDM in Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia, and the car scene here in Korea. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I can't wave my hand, so this is my wave. Bye-bye.
IONIQ 6N isn't just a car. It represents a legacy of 10 years of pure passion carried by Hyundai N. Because at N, driving still matters. IONIQ 6N.